Aunt Madge was on the phone calling friends and neighbors over the upcoming holidays. She had just finished talking to Ruth and was now well into her conversation with Timmy. "You're still taking those vitamins I got you, aren't you, Timmy? You must take one every morning." "Yes, Aunt Madge," Timmy gasped quietly into the receiver. "I'm having your room redone in a prettier style for next summer and getting you some more clothes," Madge assured. "I should be seeing you over the Thanksgiving holidays, dear. So I want you to do me a favor." "What kind of favor?" Timmy gasped. "Have Ruth come to the phone and I will talk to her while you go into her sewing room. I want you to take her cloth tape measure and measure your chest, Timmy. And then measure how much larger your little breasts are now. I'd hate to guess as you've been back home over 3 months now," Madge said. She then waited as Timmy called Ruth back to the phone. Madge talked long enough to keep her busy, talking fashion and asking for a recipe she wanted to cook that she didn't have. And then 10 minutes later Timmy returned to the living room. Madge had to go and wanted to say goodbye to her favorite nephew, so Ruth handed him the phone once again. "Did you get the measurements, darling?" Madge cooed. "Yes," Timmy gasped as he finished buttoning his shirt, leaving the top button open. "Give me the numbers, dear," Madge asked as she prepared to jot things down. "I guess my chest is like a 32 and the extra stuff that is getting bigger is around a 34 now," he gasped as Madge smiled. "I had to start wearing one of those tan elastic band-aids now because they are starting to show, Aunt Madge. Maybe I should stop taking those vitamins," he wondered. "No, dear. You'll be fine. I want you to be sure to keep taking your vitamins every day. You do want to come back out to Aunt Madge's next summer now, don't you?" she said without mentioning she'd had him on his vitamins now since the previous May, since the start of last summer. The vitamins, of course, were female hormones. She'd caught Timmy in her things, then had gotten Timmy to take them. That is, if he wanted her help in continuing to dress. Madge was well in control. "Yes, Aunt Madge," Timmy gasped. "Of course. I know how much you like my silky ladies things. The smooth nylon stockings, the silky lingerie and pretty dresses, and you're learning to walk in heels so well now too. You're growing your hair out so I will be able to style it for you next summer, and I'll help you with your makeup too. But if you quit taking your vitamins, I don't know, Timmy. You might not be able to visit me anymore. And I might have to tell your foster mom Ruth I caught you in my things. You wouldn't want that now, would you, dear?" she cooed. "Well, dear, I'll be visiting in a week or so and we'll have a nice little talk and enjoy the holidays," she finished with satisfaction as she said goodbye to Timmy and hung up the phone. And a couple of days before Thanksgiving, Madge pulled into the driveway. Timmy helped Aunt Madge with her bags and helped her to her room and then went and watched some television as Madge and Ruth chatted in the kitchen over coffee. Ruth then noticed the clock and said she had to head to the grocery store for a few of the dinner items she'd forgotten earlier. Madge smiled and said she'd just say hi to Timmy. Ruth bundled up and grabbed her purse and entered the garage through her kitchen door. Madge entered the living room just as Ruth pulled out and drove off. "I see you're wearing your t-shirt and then a loose, heavier flannel shirt over that. See? I can't even tell you're getting larger, dear," she said with a smile. "But I've had to wrap them now too," Timmy gasped. "That's fine, just not too tight, dear. Come along. I have something for you, sweetie," she cooed as she minced upstairs to her guest room. Timmy in his shirts and jeans and tennis shoes followed her, noticing her floral perfume in the air, hearing the tinkle of her jewelry and hearing the whispering zip of her shiny nylons and the nylon lining of her tight wool skirt as she minced along on her stiletto heels. She swung open her large floral suitcase that was on the bed and began searching through the clothes. "Take off your shirts, dear. That binder band too," Madge said as she continued. "But what if Ruth comes back?" he gasped. "She'll be gone for more than enough time. You just take those shirts off now, dear, she said as Timmy hesitated but began taking his shirts off. As he slipped out of his shirts, he noticed Madge opening a plastic bag and taking a small garment from it. Once she opened it up and looked it over, Timmy noticed it was a little brassiere. He gasped as he unhooked the metal band of the elastic band, and it worked loose as he rolled it off. Madge smiled with satisfaction to see Timmy's budding breasts, now much larger since he'd left after his visit at the end of summer. She noticed the larger nipples and the larger and darker pink areolae and smiled with satisfaction to see the budding flesh continuing to grow. She quickly moved behind him with the brand new Playtex bra. Lean forward, dear, Madge said as if she were dressing a young niece and a nephew. Timmy gasped as he felt her pull the white straps up his arms and over his shoulders, his little breasts jiggling as they wiggled into the little bra cups, the white nylon and poly satin shining in the light as Madge hooked the bra in back, the little pink rosebud between the little breasts on full feminine display as she adjusted the white shoulder straps. Timmy's breasts filling the small cups, his larger nipples already visible as Madge cooed with pleasure. "My sweetie," she giggled. "You're nearly a B cup already," she cooed as Timmy's head spun as they stood in the quiet room. Madge returned to her open suitcase and swished out a pink plastic bag. She reached in and took out a lace-trimmed pink nylon chiffon baby doll nightie and matching robe. She turned to Timmy and held it up. "You needed the brassiere, but this is your Christmas present, dear," she cooed as she began to gather it. "But," Timmy gasped and pulled away. "Ruth is gonna be home any time, Aunt Madge. I can't keep this stuff here, you'll have to leave it in your suitcase," he said as his head spun. "Just try it on for a second, sweetie, I want to make sure it's the right size," she cooed as she quickly swished the gown and then buttoned the robe up with the white brassiere still visible underneath. She smiled with satisfaction as Timmy's eyelashes fluttered at the sensation of all the wispy, lace-trimmed pink nylon as she swished it down to knee-length, knowing full well his weakness for pretty, silky feminine things. "So pretty. Walk around, sweetie, I want to see how pretty his looks in the light," she said as she looked Timmy over. He hesitated but moved around the room a moment before peeling the baby doll back off. He was just about to take off the brassiere but Madge stopped him. "Leave the bra on for a bit, it looks so lovely on you and I want you to enjoy it, Timmy," Madge enthused. "I'm not sure, Aunt Madge." "And Ruth will be back soon," Timmy gasped. But Madge gathered his white t-shirt and began dressing him. "I just don't know what you are so worried about," Madge insisted as she then reached for his heavy and loose long-sleeved flannel shirt. "Put this on, tuck it into your jeans but leave it loose, and leave the top button undone," she said. And then they both heard the garage door open. Ruth was back from the store. Timmy began digging at the flannel shirt and t-shirt but Madge swished his hands away. She swished his elastic band up and put it down into her suitcase. "Nobody will know," she said urgently as she quickly helped Timmy dress and looked him over, making sure no bra straps or bands were visible through the loose and heavy outer shirt. Timmy's head spun but she continued. "You just enjoy your new brassiere now, sweetie. You can take it off tonight and I'll put it back in my suitcase. Nobody will find out, silly." She giggled as she moved Timmy out of the room just as Ruth bundled into the kitchen with the groceries. The flannel shirt was loose but Madge smiled as she felt his back for the back of the band and the shoulder straps before fluffing the shirt loose once again so Ruth wouldn't notice.